I'm going to try my best to put up with this. And I like the way my TikTok thing is because I can move my big head out of the way. I don't seem to can do that here. Let me read this first paragraph to you, and that's going to sort of set the course of what this book of Jubilees is. 2025 is the Jubilee year, and the Pope opens the holy door, and the trumpets, and now I didn't hear one trumpet, by the way, and the trumpet is what's supposed to announce the Jubilee year, and this is the book of Jubilees. It's 50 chapters, and I'm going to do a chapter every week. And we're going to do this first week is going to be chapter 1. I skipped over the first 2 because typically the Jubilee year starts on the 6th of January, and then we did an introduction that I was going to start this course. We should end up right at the end of the year. Let me read this first paragraph to you that's at the top of the book of chapter 1 in the book of Jubilees. This is the history of the division of the days of the Torah and the testimony of the events of the years, of their year of weeks, festivals, the covenant, of their Sabbaths, of their Jubilees throughout all the years of the world, as Yahweh spoke to Moshe on Mount Sinai when he went up to receive the tables of the Torah and of the commandment, according to the voice of Yahweh, as he said to him, go up to the top of the mountain. I'm going to stop right there at this one, at the beginning of this page, and I just want to ask and see some of the comments. Did anybody see anything of any of those words that stuck out to you like a thumb? Because one popped out to me and just blew me away here. Anybody see anything on that page right there? I highlighted it. It's the word tables. I heard tablets of stone. My whole life, I heard tablets of stone. My wife was like, oh, it's tablets of stone. Now, I called my brother and Ronnie, and he was raised by Gil's father, obviously. When he was 12 years old, he was a Pentecostal preacher too. And buddy, he knows the Bible. Ye double ha, he knows the Bible. And he got on there, and first thing he said, I was like going, he's going to say tablets. He's, no, man, it's tables of stone. And I was like, table? Carried a table down there? Carried 2 tables of stone. That's going to come up really, really, really important in just a little bit as we start to read through this. But did anybody pick up on that? Moshe, yeah, I see that. Moshe is Moses. There's a couple of them. There's Yahweh right there. I see somebody pick that one up. Me too in this moment. How are y'all doing? It's so glad to see y'all. Gosh, I can't believe the people that are in this room, and thank you so much for all the gifts and the hearts that are blowing up. Hello. Hey, Prissy, how are you doing? I'm not perfect with doing this live thing. I'm sure there's a much better way to do it. If y'all know me, that's not what I'm here trying to do. I read things and all of a sudden I'm like going, man, that says tables of stone. And the table, oh gosh, I can't wait to tell you when Christ, and it gets to the end of it, and him being the bread and who wrote this book. Oh, man, I'm so glad I see we love it right there. I'm glad that you do. I think we're all going to look back on the very first chapter and laugh at this one like I do when I look back at my old TikToks, 400 TikToks ago. Funny. That's funny. So let me take a sip of some water. I'm going to read this next page for you. Let's go right over to here. Hold on, Miss Bonner. What you got to do?
I don't mean to interrupt you, but someone's wanting to know how to get the lesson.
Okay, I'm so sorry. My wife just brought up a great point. This study guide right here is going to be on my bio page, so click on that. And then on my bio page is a link tree, and you can go down to my link tree, and it'll be the Jubilee Study Guide 1, and you can download it. A lot of people say, I can't get it to print. Click on the top 3 dots, and it'll say open in browser, and you can download the study guide. And it's the whole chapter of Jubilee 1 But right underneath that is like the Book of Jubilees that you can download, the Book of Enoch 1 that you can download, the Book of Giants. All those books are there free for you to download. This is just a study course. Yes, ma'am.
One more thing. We did a sub only for this lesson, and I don't know how to make it sub only.
I did a sub only for this lesson, and I don't know how to make it sub only. So I'm sorry.
If
But
someone knows how, tell them to message me.
if y'all know how, my wife is moderating this thing, and hopefully some of the disciples that'll be signing up and join my team. Look at it, it says join my team. You know what? I would love to be able to build that. And please, y'all, in the next few weeks, let's build this thing because I got the content. We have the content. I just want to see through these things and start showing y'all and explaining to you about these tables. Y'all are going to freak out whenever you see the table thing and these tables of stone. Jubilees chapter 1, verse 1, bow. Yahweh called Moshe up to the mountain to give the account of the division of days. Right there. We're going to read right there. And it came to pass in the first year of the exodus of the children of Israel out of that's Israel to me. Israel out of Egypt in the 3rd month of the 16th day of the month 240 Anno Mundi, and that Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, come up to me on the mount, and I will give thee 2 tables of stone of the Torah and of the commandment which I have written, that you may teach them. 2 tables of stone. Right there. Right there next to it is Exodus 24. And you're just going to love this Exodus 24. And the Lord said unto Moshe, come up to me into the mount and be there, and I will give thee tables of stone and a law and the commandments which I have written, and that thou mayest teach them. A table of stone. I was crying. It made my nose run. He gave it, man, I thought it was tablets. That next picture looks like a tablet. I'm sitting there going, tablet? You know what? That's just as bad as me thinking that, David was this little shepherd boy. And he was not a little shepherd boy. 2 tables of stone. Let's keep that in mind. I want y'all to know that the Jubilee year was divided into 12 months that were numbered 1 through 12. So there was no lunar name or no name after a star. And anytime somebody kept up with time along with the Jubilee calendar, they named it like month 1, just like what it just said, in the 3rd month. So that's when it was. Anno Mundi means how many years after Adam? So that's the years after Adam. And then the 16th day, it was 30 days, I believe, in the month. And it ended up being a 364-day calendar where they counted the sun. And I mean, now that I look back on it, this under like the 6th chapter, it tells you how to count and how to count the sun. I'm like, why were we counting the moon? Why did we decide, all right, the moon isn't this exact... No, now it's perfect. No, now it's perfect. It literally says that we're going to go wrong by 10 days. I put it in another TikTok. It comes up in chapter 6 right here. And it's going to tell you that we were going to error by 10 days. And the Babylonian calendar starts going by the moon, naming all the months after that. And sure enough, it's 354 days. Boom. I mean, if your birthday was on a Tuesday, according to the Jubilee calendar, every year your birthday would be on Tuesday. That's why the Sabbath was the Sabbath. It was Saturday, bam. And Constantine decided that he was going to ruin that. I don't know. He was. Jill, hang on 1 second. I'm going to go grab me a napkin. I got a napkin. I had to blow my nose. I'm sorry. I started crying, and then Arlo If y'all like Arlo, Arlo was born and raised on my shoulder. I wasn't born on my shoulder, but he was raised on my shoulder. My mama was in the hospital for a long period of time, and he actually grew up on my shoulder, so he can go through this Bible study with us. Let me read that next paragraph. And Moshe went up into the mount, and Yahweh and the splendor of Yahweh abode on Mount Sinai, and a cloud overshadowed it 6 days. 6 days. That's 6 is not a cool number. When things happen in the pieces in accordance with 6, that's the number of a man. That's the day that man was made. So when you see 6, it's not a great thing always. We'll pick up on that in another couple of things. My wife said, "Why are you out of breath?" Because I'm a big old guy and I don't eat well and exercise. I read the Bible a lot. And he called to Moshe on the 7th day out of the midst of the cloud. And the appearance of the splendor of Yahweh was like a flaming fire on the top of the mount. And Moshe was on the mount 40 days and 40 nights. And Yahweh taught him the earlier and the latter history of the division of all the days of the Torah and of the testimony. That's right there over Arlo's head. He taught him all the days of the Torah and all the days of the testimony. I'm going to tell you something. There's a couple of people in history for sure that got taught what was going to happen. And to tell you the truth, not only do I think Moses, he obviously saw these things, and as we read through the rest of these books and these chapters, you're going to see that Moses saw something and was shown something. It's actually here on the last page. He was shown something by the angel of the presence, and the entire history, all the way up to the delivery of the temple when the New Jerusalem was to come down. I think a couple of people saw this. I think King David saw it. I'm sorry. I think King David, he saw something, man. I mean, he had his sons anointed. He knew it was like in his bloodline. He writes about the 22nd Psalm and writes about being crucified and all this stuff. I mean, he never really talked to God. He had these seer guys for him. And it just, So anyway, let me get back on track. What's happened with him on 40 days and 40 nights while he was up on that mountain? He didn't receive 2 tablets of stone. He received 2 tables of stone. Let's keep going. And he said, "Incline your heart to every word which I should speak to you on this mount, and write them in a book." Bam. "And in order that their generations may see how I have not forsaken them for all the evil which they have wrought in transgression, the covenant which I have established between me and you for the generations this day on Mount Sinai." I mean, this book reads exactly like Melchizedek. I love that. Melchizedek is the angel of presence. He's about to talk to him in about the next couple of verses right here. He is without father and without mother, without beginning of days and without end of days, without genealogy. Melchizedek is that guy, man. He's the dude with the bread and the wine. That is Jesus Christ. Right there. It's all about the bread and wine. For sure. You need to know that. That bread goes on a table called the table of the presence. Jesus said he was the bread. This is my body. They put it on the table of the presence. Exodus 34:27, right there. Says, "And the Lord said unto Moses, write these words, for after the tenor of these words, I have made a covenant with thee and with Israel." I'm going to tell you, thank you so much for all the gifts. And we're at the end of the very first page, and I'm going to come back down and start looking at the comments. Can't you see right through here how much more detailed this is about the account of who gave this book to him, who is speaking to him? There's an assignment at the end, and we'll try to get, when we get to it, we'll go back through somebody's answers. But there's an assignment that who's talking? How is this a canon? Because these are words that were issued by God. And it's funny how the book of Jubilees was taken out of the canon, was taken out of circulation, and all of a sudden it pops up in the Dead Sea Scrolls. And the church is busted as to, wow, yeah, we didn't think that you really needed to see in another version of the lesser Genesis. The lesser Genesis, man, I mean, the next chapter starts talking about Adam and Eve's other children, like Cain and Abel's sisters. So yeah, I didn't think you needed to know exactly the day, and we were cool with you thinking that Genesis 6:4, when the Nephilim descended from heaven, we let you go with Genesis 6:4 about the fallen angels, and that was enough, man. You don't need the book of Enoch, the fallen angels and all that stuff. We got that one chapter, one verse for you right there. The deception of mankind, one verse, 6:4, Genesis. Ugh. Let's go. Let's go. My son says that all the time. He's 25 years old. I sit there and talk to him. What book is this, good sir? I had this to where it was going to be comments, but we're studying the book of Jubilees. And this book right here was found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, and I'm not going to venture too far off, but you can go to my bio page and download this study guide and read right along with us. But this is one of the books that was found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, and it was found more copies of this than the books of Genesis and Exodus. So this is one of the most popular books in the Dead Sea Scrolls, found right after the Second World War. Does live stay up on your page after it's done? I could not tell you. I am so double horrible at live. So this is horrible for me. We love you. Thank you. And I thank you for all the comments, all those going out to Heavenly Father. Thank you. Thank you. You make my day every day. Oh, thank you so much. You know what? Y'all make my day, and I get a lot of my comments from y'all. The Trumpet rocks. You know what? Arlo, he rocks because he sits there and puts up with me so much. He's got the best seat in the house when it comes to eating dinner. I can tell you that. He ain't going to get skinny, but he's 3 pounds. I don't see him doing too much more than that. I put up this next page, and I'm going to keep going. Thank you so much for all y'all's likes and comments. Thank you so much for all you people in the room. Please go to my bio page and go to my link tree and download the book of Enoch, the book of Jubilees, the book of whatever you want to. Is right there for free. And you can download them. But we're studying the book of Jubilees, chapter 1, in the Jubilee year 2025. And we're going to be doing this every Wednesday at 7 o'clock. I'm going to do this. Whether TikTok shuts off or whatever they want to do, I could care less, man. I've got a link tree. It'll tell you. We'll do a Zoom call. I'll put 1,000 people on there, and we'll just get her done. So let's go on to this next chapter. This is when, or the next verses. And this is when Moses is coming down. And, here he comes with these 2 tables of stone. And here it is showing one thing with the 10 Commandments, and it's like one table. Understand, we're going to find out later what this table is, and it's actually like a table. And almost like how the table is in the manger, and how they put the bread on the table, and in a manger, it would be a cave, and there would be a stone table there for the cows and them to eat out of, because they would just tear up a wood table, and they would tear up a wood trough, and you would have cut it out of stone, and you would put the bread, you would have put Jesus Christ on there, and you would have put that bread on the table. It's the table of the presence. Table of the presence. Right here. I go to it. Did I turn to the next page? I turned it. And thus it will come to pass, when all these things come upon them, and they will recognize that I am more righteous than they in all their judgments and in all their actions, and they will recognize that I have been truly with them. This book speaks so much about how he was right there with them, marching. And it's Jesus that was marching with them. They would march across, and the strongest warriors would be in the front, and the other wings of the warriors would be on the side, and the people in the middle that were the most precious, the Ark of the Covenant, and then the trail of people following back behind it. It made the symbol of a cross in the desert as they moved across the desert. It was the head of the army, the wings of the army, and the trail of the slower people that pulled, and the ark was right in the heart of it. There was a cross right in the middle. So anyway, let's say, and do right for yourself all these words which I declare unto you this day. For I know their rebellion and their stiff neck, before I bring them into the land of which I swore to their fathers, to Abraham and to Isaac and to Jacob, saying, unto your seed will I give the land flowing with milk and honey. There you go. Unto your seed. And Jacob, the house of Jacob, you're going to find out in this book, when Jacob stacks the stones at Bethel, and it says, thou shalt not build a pillar, and it's in Genesis, he should have never stacked them stones. And this book right here, the book of Jubilees, tells that. You can go read it. And the angel came and said, do not build this place. This tabernacle and all these things that Moses was designed to build was designed to be moved throughout the people and used where it was set up. And when it was moved again, it was moved to where it needed to be. It was not to be fixed as a permanent structure. God says that he will build that tabernacle, and that was Jesus Christ. And it says that right here at the end of this chapter. Verse 9, for they will forget all my commandments, even all that I commanded them, and they will walk after the Gentiles and after their uncleanliness and after their shame, and will serve their gods. And these will prove unto them an offense and a tribulation and an affliction and a snare. Right there. And if you're on the study guide, I'm sorry that I can't put it up above me that good, but I can move out of the way a little bit, and I'll read this bottom to you. This is Deuteronomy 31. And the Lord said unto Moses, behold, thou shalt sleep with thy fathers, and this people will rise up and go a-whoring after the gods of the strangers of the land. Then my anger shall be kindled against them in that day. All right, so, there's nothing that we're reading that differs. And there's nothing that I have read in this book that differs in the story of Genesis and Exodus through about Exodus, almost the end of the book. So it's just Genesis and Exodus all in one book. And I mean, when you think about it, Genesis means the beginning and Exodus means the end. And if you write the 10 Commandments in Exodus, how does Leviticus tell you several different ways that you're allowed to torture or kill people? Jesus, even when he was teaching those people, doesn't your law say that I call you gods? And I think that his law is a very divine 10 Commandments, thou shalt not kill, and that's his law, how that goes right there. So I don't know how people got to decide if we could do what they wanted to do. Let me click on this next page. I think it's going to be this one. This one's a little bit more reading. I'm going to sit right here. And before I go to this page, did anybody have any comments or any clicks that they wanted to discuss on that last page? That picture showed Moses coming down the hill right here. And those are horns. That means his face was radiant. That means that it was red and it shone like the sun. And I'm old and not techie. But welcome to my house. And it was 2 tables. That's right. That's 2 tables. You're so right on. And even my brother, man, he just nailed that. I heard tablets my whole life, man. And so Wait till you hear about the tables, though, and how they put the showbread on the table of the presence, and it's the angel of the presence that actually wrote those things. It's just the showbread and the show, ooh, and Jesus is the bread. So keep going. Did Israel break the covenant? Israel and the covenant, I don't want to keep going off track. That's why I tried to keep the comments into this. But, David was Israel. He had a covenant for 7 years with those people into Hebron, and then he became king on Mount Zion, and then he went up top of Mount Zion and lived in a fortress on top of Mount Zion and slaved the laden with the blind and all that stuff. But we won't go down that road. So what are the 12 tribes today? I tell you what, the 12 tribes today, there's 2 tribes a long, long time ago that split the line, and Jerusalem is split right through Mount Moriah and Mount Zion, and the temple of God was supposed to be built on Mount Zion, but David elected to build his palace on top of Mount Zion, and Mount Moriah, which is 110 feet lower than that, was the footstool to David, which is the altar of God, which is where Abraham went to go sacrifice Isaac. So it took him twice as long, 14 years or something like that, to build his palace overlooking the temple of God, which only took like 7 years. And that happened. That happened. So that little thing right there, I'm trying to look. The world is flat, aka firmament. That is exactly why I wanted to sort of regulate this in the comments, because I haven't been able to gain or figure out how I'm going to gain one day knowing what shape the earth is, because I still don't know what that stuff is in the middle of an acorn that can produce another oak tree and generations of oak trees and thousands of acorns, much less what that gooey crap is inside of an orange seed. Or we don't even know somebody that can build a blade of grass, and all of a sudden we've got to figure out what shape this machine is, the realm of God. Go ahead and figure that one out. And when you'll be able to do that, you'll be able to tell you how to build a blade of grass. I think that would be cool. You can't make a blade of grass. The best answer ever. I love it. I don't know. The book of Job says who's backed up and measured it. I'm going to believe NASA. I honestly don't know. And I don't gain one fragment of time or wisdom or anything knowing that. I'm not even able to conceive how the wind blows or how the water moves or where it comes from, man. You can figure out all this. What shape is a realm? Go there. All right, let's move to this next page. Am I doing okay with y'all? I certainly hope so. Trying for my first time and try not to cry. I do a pretty good job of that. I'm 6'3" and about 260 pounds ish, and I'm a pretty big boy when it comes to crying. I can cry and back it up. I can keep a puppy on my dog on my shoulder, and I ain't hurting my feelings none. Carry my wife's purse all day long if I want to. All right, let's read right up here. And many will perish, and they will be taken captive, and will fall into the hands of the enemy, because they have forsaken my ordinances, and my commandments, and the festivals of the covenant, and my Sabbaths, and my Kodesh place, which I have hallowed for myself in their midst, and my tabernacle, and my sanctuary, which I have hallowed for myself in the midst of the land, that I should set my name upon it, and that it should dwell there. There. He's going to build that. Not anybody else. You're not going to go chip the stones away, build some perfect place. I mean, God said, why am I going to walk in this one place? And the very first thing Jesus said was, pow, get rid of this thing. And they will make to themselves high places. Those are obelisks. You can tell that they are all over the place. They have writings on them. I almost got to think that this table would have been etched, and you would have been able to make a rubbing on it and these high places, these obelisks, they would have been able to make rubbings of evil things too, and groves and graven images. And they will worship each to his own a graven image so as to go astray. And they will sacrifice their children to demons and to all the works of the error of their hearts. Yeah, good. No, that's going to happen. And I will send witnesses unto them. Right there. That I may witness against them. But they will not hear and will slay the witnesses. Also, they will persecute those who seek the Torah. That's the word. The word is the Torah. You're going to find out, where it says Melchizedek in the Bible, in chapter 6 or whatever, it doesn't say Melchizedek in this. It calls him the Torah, the word. What? It does. Then it would be saying that right here instead of Torah, because it does that in the Bible. Where was I? Lost myself. Slated when to seek the Torah. And they will abrogate and change everything so as to work evil before my eyes. Thank you so much for all of y'all putting up with me. And Arlo, he will sit here literally the whole time. Y'all are going to laugh. And I will hide my face from them, and I will deliver them into the hands of the Gentiles for captivity, and for prey, and for devouring, and I will remove them from the midst of the land, and I will scatter them amongst the Gentiles. And they will forget all my Torah, and all my commandments, and all my judgments, and will go astray as to new months, and Sabbaths, and festivals, and jubilees, and ordinances. Right there. It's exactly what we did. We decided that we were going to watch the moon, and everybody goes, that we had 12 months. Who decided that we were going to quit counting the sun come up over the edge of the thing right there? The sun rising up over the edge of whatever that edge is right there. I see it go down too. It doesn't drift off into the sunset. But then again, why weren't we counting this thing, big yellow ball coming by, whatever y'all want to call it, doing? Instead of going, the moon, no, man, it's center now. No, that center. That's the craziest thing in the world. I've gone out there and looked at it and went, no, now it's full. Yeah, I can see how you totally would error 10 days, and then all of a sudden we got this down, and it's marked on a turtle's back and all this stuff. Man, I would love, I can't put anybody on here. I'm not fancy enough to even put that in, and it's not a sing-along thing that we're going to do. Let me read that verse down there at Deuteronomy at the very bottom. Right there. What's wrong? He wants to get back up. Deuteronomy, and it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee, if thou shalt return unto the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity. And that's what it is. He's saying he's going to turn their captivity, and he's going to take them out of bondage and out of Egypt. We figured and finished the third page right there, and it talked about right here slaying the witnesses. I mean, these guys were shown, you can see it's coming up in like 2 more pages. He was shown the testimony of time of all of his generations. And I'm going to tell you something. All of the generations of being shown all that information. And, man, that would just blow you away. And I gotta think that David saw that, man. I gotta think there's a couple of people in history that saw it. Jacob saw it. Jacob saw all of that stuff, and he took right off and started stacking pillars. Boom. And I was like, going, thank you so much for the gifts. Thank you so much. And he started stacking stones, man. And I'm like, bro, stacking stones, the Lord your God, he hates that. That's one of the only verses in the Bible where it says the Lord your God, he hates that. Some species, so my language. Thank you for sending the gifts. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening along and following along with me. We've got so many great people in this room right now. I hope that you've gone to my bio page and downloaded the study guide. Thank you so much. A little Arlo. I bet, you know what? That is cool. Art. Say thank you, Arlo. He doesn't talk or anything like that, but he will eat a cheeseburger like in 2 seconds. We get them little cheese slider things for him. But I want to thank you so much. Go to my bio page. Go to my link tree. You can download the book of Jubilees, the book of Enoch 1, the Watchers. Don't Enoch 2 through 5, when it starts talking about Noah and his white hair and his blue eyes and all of that stuff, man, that's just crazy. They only found Enoch 1. It was about 35 pages in the Dead Sea Scrolls. They didn't find the other ones there. And that book of Enoch 1 is what's on mine. It's called The Fallen Angels, Enoch 1. And it literally is Genesis 6, verse 4 of the fallen angels. It's that expanded on steroids. So it's really, really cool. I'm going to read this next page. And Enoch came to me in 19. Enoch's a great book, man. I mean, like I said, when you start reading the second half of it, it's almost like you can just tell it's written in a different language. It just sort of sounds too fantastical. And you're like going, wow, man, y'all really pretty dead on with this. And it's not that, man. It was about the fallen angels. And I think they wrote 2 through 5 just to sort of add some mirth to it and confusion. And it's like, no, man, Enoch 1 names 200 angels, and you boys got a tower over there, a pyramid in Astana that seats 200 fallen angels. Shut up, man. I mean, we paid $50 billion for that. Tomato sauce. Now, I got 6 grandkids, and I say the things to them. I don't even know why I say the things I do, but thank you. Let me start reading again. Verse 16. And I will disclose to them abounding shalom with righteousness, and I will remove them the plant of uprightness with all my heart and with all my soul, that they shall be for a blessing and not for a curse, and they shall be the head and not the tail. That all my heart and all my soul, man, the Pharisees asked Jesus, this is going to make me cry. Do not do it. The Pharisees asked Jesus, they said, what is the great commandment? And I knew it. He said, the great commandment is to love thy Father in heaven above with all thy heart and all thy soul and all thy mind. And the next commandment is like unto it, that thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. And upon those 2 commandments hang all the law and all the prophets. So all the law and all the prophet hang on that you love God and you love you. Now, that don't mean I got to like you. You know what? I don't think Jesus really liked what they did to him. You know? You got to love them, though. And that's important. You got to love everybody. They're a necessary evil. I don't love Judas. I don't like him. But if he wasn't there and didn't do what he did, then we wouldn't be here right now. He's a necessary evil. I love that about him. I don't like anything about him at all. I can just say that. Hope I'm saying it right. Verse 16. And I will disclose to them, I did that one. And I will build my sanctuary in their midst, and I will dwell with them, and I will be Yahweh, their sovereign ruler. And they shall be my people in truth and righteousness. It's beautiful. That means he's going to build it in them, right there in the middle of them. Jesus is what he's going to do. That's what he said to temple to me. And I will not forsake them nor fail them, and I am Yahweh, their sovereign ruler. Yahweh, this right here, people say Yahweh. This is God right here. It's a breath of life. And Moshe fell on his face and prayed and said, O Yahweh, my sovereign ruler, do not forsake your people and your inheritance, so they should wander in error of their hearts, and do not deliver them into the hands of their enemies, the Gentiles, lest they should rule over them and cause them to sin against you. If you were not a Jewish person, you were a Gentile, so welcome to the club. Let your mercy, O Yahweh, be lifted up upon your people, and create in them an upright spirit, and let not the spirit of Balaam rule over them, to accuse them before you. and to ensnare them from all the paths of righteousness, so that they may perish before your face. But they are your people and your inheritance, which you have delivered with your great power from the hands of the Egyptians. Create in them a clean heart and a contrite spirit, and let them not be ensnared in their sins from henceforth unto eternity. That picture right there, when he came down, let's see if I got this in the Bible. He comes down and he sees this calf. Y'all are going to freak out on this part right here. All right, we heard the tablets. Okay, it's a table. And now we heard they made a golden calf. Bam. Let's go to Exodus 32:24. And I said unto them, whosoever hath any gold, let them break it off. So they gave it to me. Then I cast it into the fire, and there came out this calf. In form of calf. The fire came out, this calf came out of the fire. I mean, talking about red heifer. You know, I was speaking with my brother, and again, man, he was a Pentecostal preacher at 12 years old, literally standing on a seat in front of a church of people just shouting, and he knows every verse book of the Bible. And he was like saying, you know, that whole thing right there where it says he knew every piece of it. And he said that Moses saw that the people were naked, for Aaron had made them naked unto their shame among their enemies. Then Moses stood in the camp. Hold on, Levi. And he ground this thing to pieces. Let me find out where he did that. Verse 20. And he took the calf which they made and burned it in the fire and ground it to powder and strode it upon the water and made the children of Israel drink it. You grind something to powder? Gold? I'm a contractor, a general contractor. I've ground a bunch of things. You get a big old thing of gold and start grinding on it, and you're going to get gold dust, and you throw it on top of the water, and it's going right to the bottom of it. I'll assure you that. So now, Ronnie, that's the what he got me with this, and that's my brother-in-law, whatever it is. He's my brother, okay? And I'm 60. I think he's 61. And he goes, grounded. He goes, man, you know what? They made a statue of Jerusalem stone. He goes, when I was in downtown Jerusalem, they wouldn't let them paint any of those buildings because the Jerusalem stone, when it shone in the light, in the sun, it shone gold. So it was the golden city. You want to go, what? And it's this only quarried limestone called Meseret or whatever, and it literally shines gold. And it says whenever it starts making this statue, this graven image, you can see that they probably was this gold Jerusalem stone. And he goes, yeah, man, they took that gold with them out of Egypt. And it was the sin that they took with them, so they threw it into the fire. He goes, I could totally see it coming out of the fire, out of this calf. Then I cast it into the fire, and there came out this calf. So, I mean, you see this little calf dude, goat man, dancing around the fire with all these other people. What to say about all that? Come on, let's keep going. Am I doing good here? I certainly do appreciate all y'all being there. I ain't never seen 700 people in a room. That's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you. What page am I on? I read that one with the picture. I got to go touch this. Which touch it? Which this one? Oh, bro, right here. I can't get out of the way. That verse right there. Let's hurry up and get down to it. This one's going to blow you away. And Yahweh said to Moshe, I know their contrariness and their thoughts and their stiff-neckedness, and they will not be obedient until they confess their own sin and the sin of their fathers. And after this, they will turn to me in all their uprightness, with all their heart and with all their soul, and I will circumcise the foreskin of their heart and the foreskin of the heart of their seed, and I will create in them a coat of spirit, and I will cleanse them so that they shall not turn away from me from the day unto eternity. Okay, the foreskin of your heart. Ow! Ow, that hurts. That hurts worse than a lot of things I can think about. And their souls will cleave to me and to all my commandments. Man, that's easy. Love. You love everybody. If you love your Father in heaven with all your heart and all your soul and all your mind, and you love your neighbor, you don't want to kill from him, steal from him, envy him, any of those things. So you really can just love everybody and cover all the bases, and pretty easy to do. I find honor thy mother and thy father being one of the hardest commandments in the whole wide world to keep right there for sure. Because I don't want to go kill nobody. I don't want to go hurt nobody or steal from nobody or do none of those things. Don't covet nobody's wife. Honoring my mother and my father, all I got is, aggravation in my head, and I got to get better at that. Sure do. I shall call my children, and they shall be called children of the living Yahweh, and every Malach and every spirit shall know, yes, they shall know that these are my children, and that I am their Abba in uprightness and righteousness, and that I love them. Right there. The Malach. Every Malach. Boom. If you look up the definition of Malach, that's an angel, and it's the presence of God, so it can be God. It's it's the you're on show. That's you're in the presence of God right there. This Malach. Now, I'm going to tell you something. And do you write down for yourself all these words which I declare unto you on this mount, the first and the last, which shall come to pass in all the divisions of the days, in the Torah and in the testimony, and in the weeks and the jubilees unto eternity, until I descend and dwell with them throughout eternity. This next verse. And he said to the Malach of presence, write for Moshe, from the beginning of creation till my sanctuary has been built among them for all eternity. Man, we got that, and he wrote that, and they wrote down everything that happened and put it inside of the Ark of the Covenant, and they walked around, and it was the entire future of mankind and what was happening to it, and it defeated everybody, and they just quit reading it. I can tell you they quit reading it. You can tell that we don't even read it, man. I mean, that Pope, for him to build an altar of hewn stone and to have stairs going up to it and to wear a hat and to do the things that they do is like, it's like Solomon went to Egypt and got horses. I mean, did you not read? You didn't have like 3 or 4 books in the Bible when you were around. I mean, how did you miss that? That God said, don't be mad at you. They asked for a king. They asked to get away from me. They rejected me, God, for a king. And the word king in Hebrew actually means sort of God. So they had a king on Zion, which is King Saul first and then King David. Whatever. I'm going to live on a palace in Zion. Okay, hot dog. I will slay the lame and the blind before I get up there too, man. I don't like them. I hated them, my soul. And Yahweh will appear to the eyes of all, and all shall know that I am sovereign ruler of Israel and the Abba of all the children of Jacob and king on Mount Zion for all eternity, and Zion and Jerusalem shall be Kodesh. I read that piece right there. Isaiah 69:3. Let me get this. What's it say? Ooh, that's going to be it. 63:9. Ooh, hot dog. I didn't take a picture of this. Let me read it to you. For he said, surely there are my people, children that will not lie. So he was their Savior. In all their affliction he was afflicted, and the angel of his presence saved them. In his love and in his pity he redeemed them, and he bare them and carried them all the days of old. But they rebelled and vexed his Holy Spirit. Therefore he was turned to be their enemy, and he fought against them. The angel of the presence, wrote all of those things down. And that table is the table of the presence in the book of Exodus 25. And they shall have a showbread and set it on the table before me. And this is the table of the presence that's in the tabernacle that they set the showbread on. It's a table that they set the bread on, and Jesus is the bread and the wine. And this is what Melchizedek came out into the way and helped the people. And Abraham, as he was traveling after he sacked Sodom and Gomorrah, met Melchizedek right there and received bread and wine. And when it says a Moabite shall never enter the temple because they didn't come out and help you and give you bread along the way when you came out of Egypt. And they didn't help the people. And David was a direct descendant of Ruth the Moabite. And you were supposed to help people with the bread and to give them the word. And that was teach them the word and show love and to love them and to care about them and to give them a good word. And we lost that, man. We lost that. I know. Thank you. I'm learning so much. I'm learning so much from y'all. Man, y'all will say one little thing and I'll dig a hole all the way to China. And Psalms 132, for the Lord has chosen Zion. He has desired it for his dwelling place. You see my little note right there? For the Lord has chosen Zion. He has desired it for his dwelling place. They built the temple on Mount Moriah, hot dog. I mean, I'm a general contractor, but the first thing I do is check the plans, and I would have surely built the temple of God on the mountain of God, Mount Zion. I wouldn't have relocated my house there and said, you know what, I'm going to go up there and build my house on the high point up there on the top of the mountain of God. Like, I've never even heard of Mount Zion before, but it's a nice place, a nice lookout. Okay, hot dog. You just came out of the cave of Adullam. And the cave which he went into is where he found all these needy people. They elected him captain. But we're coming to that cave part because the cave was a manger. Oh, man. Now, the shepherds would not have built a wooden, flimsy manger. They would have run them into a cave. And instead of a trough being made out of a wooden whatever, like it's going to hold water, somebody along the way would have carved this thing to where it held and was stone and would have held these wild beasts nudging into it. That's a real good chance that they laid the child Jesus on a table, which is what you would have fed those animals in a manger. He was the bread of life. He was. Put him on that table right here. Let's read about the table of presence that's in the tabernacle. And that traveled with Israel the whole time. This is Jesus Christ. It's Melchizedek, whatever you want to call him. Jesus is God. He told the devil, Thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. Who does that make you? God. That's what he told the devil. Shall not tempt the Lord thy God. That's what he was saying. And the Malach of the presence who went before the camp of Israel took the tables of the divisions of years from the time of creation of the Torah and of the testimony of the weeks of Jubilees, according to the individual years, according to all the numbers of the Jubilees, according to the individual years, from the day of the new creation, when the heavens and the earth shall be renewed, and all their creation according to the powers of the heaven, and according to all the creation of the earth, unto the sanctuary of Yahweh shall be made in Jerusalem on Mount Zion. Okay, David. And all the luminaries be renewed for healing. That's all your months and luminaries and all that stuff. Be renewed. The stars be renewed for healing, and for shalom, and for blessing, and for all the elect of Israel, and that thus it may be from that day and until all the days of the earth. Now, he just said that Yahweh shall be made, until the sanctuary of Yahweh shall be made on Zion. Cracking earlier. There's no temple on Zion. Okay? Let's get that straight. Inside Mount Moriah, Solomon had 100